Alright, so today we're going to be pulling out the seats and all the carpet and everything in the Jeep Gladiator. We're doing this to go ahead and do the Raptor Liner in it. We did the Line X in my wife's JL that she had prior, and we just decided for this route we just want to go the Raptor Liner. I was really happy with it when I did it in my TJ. So I'm going to try to record as much of this as possible to show you guys. And I know a lot of people wanted to see the actual Line X being sprayed, so I am going to try to get some of that on film. I do a lot of this on my own, so I will work around that, but I'm not going to go over some of the basics like removing the soft top and removing some of the basic stuff that doesn't require any detail, but I will show you guys how to pull out the main pieces that you'll need to do if you're doing this yourself. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is remove the box by these 4 screws. They actually send you the head that you need to use in your Jeep kit in your little bag. If not, they are a common part, and as you see, the top of it is actually a bolt. So if you don't have the star pattern ones, the Torx, you do have a way to get it that way. Alright, the next part, go ahead and remove the top of the box, the little rubber insert. This is just sitting in there like that. You just can grab in between these 2 pieces and pull up. We've got custom aftermarket wheels, so this is actually where we keep our wheel key. And then if you see, there are 2 small bolts down here. They should be, I believe, a size 10, but let me verify. Alright, those are size 10, so you're going to remove the one nut there and one there. And if you see right here, there's a little tiny plastic piece kind of holding it in place. You just have to kind of pull it out, and it pops right off. We're going to come over to the passenger side and remove your jack. They just got little twist knobs to come out. And now that we've loosened all these, we're just going to lift it up and out. It is just a smaller piece of plastic. If you followed my last video, these are actually the floorboards or the floor mats for the JL. So what we had to do is actually kind of cut them in place. They've worked great, as you can see, to get us by for the couple of weeks that we needed to go ahead and get in the Raptor Liner. So we're going to pull those out next. Alright, next we're just going to grab the corner of it down here and just start to pull. You will need to pull out from in here, lifting up these little spacers around that kind of helps hold it down. This is what holds down the actual floor mats if you bought the OEM style. We will go over pulling these out. We're going to take out all the lower ones here that come up, and we're going to end up taking out these lower brackets down here. Once I get a better look on the inside and see how far up, we might just very well spray to this edge right here. This whole back area might not have to be sprayed. I'm going to look at it and see what we can do with it. When coming up underneath the seat, if you look right there, there's a little tiny slit in the carpet. All that you got to do is sometimes get in there with your fingers and kind of pull, and it pulls apart. And this is going to help you get it out and around without having to actually cut anything. I'm going to be removing the front seats, so although I am going to go ahead and open these up to get them out, I'll probably just remove them after removing the seats, because I know they're coming out either way, but it is possible to get these out without taking the seats out. If you guys are finding that you're going to need some parts, you don't have the bolts, these are actually called an E12 and an E16, and it is that star pattern shape. The back is going to be the E16, and the front seats are going to be your E12s. Alright, once we've removed the 4 bolts, the one in the front was the probably hardest to get to. I'm not going to move the seat right now because it's no longer attached, but the one that is up under here, we did have to use with just a regular wrench. Couldn't use the impact hammer and a spacer. We're going to lift it up, and this wire coming up right here, we're going to detach that, and it comes all the way to here. There we go. And to do that, we're going to basically pull out this red tab and then push down on this black button to separate it. After you've got that separated, there is the second one right here, and same thing, you're going to pull out that little tab. I can get it. Alright, and as soon as that little red tab came to the back, it slid right off. There's no button to push. And then we're going to remove this little hold-in part, and you just pull on that, or if you got one of the tools. And then it's removed. So the next part, as you see, this is going to be a little bit easier with not having the seat in. So we're just going to basically lift this, pull it out. Here's those slits on that other side that you could have done with that seat in position. But we're just going to pull out on that, and you're going to want to slide it towards the back, and it just comes right out. Alright, and a correction on the last. This little yellow thing, I didn't think there was a button because when I pulled on it, it came right out. This one wasn't wanting to come out, and I realized if you actually push down on this red button, the little prongs do lift up. That is the button, but you're actually pushing down on the red piece itself. If I can get the right angle, you're going to just push down like that, and that does it. Alright, once you got that floor mat out, I haven't done the front yet, but we're going to pull all of these little drain plugs out. When you spray, you're going to want these open so that water can drain out. And then we're going to pull the fronts out, which is basically the same way. You're just going to pull from up underneath the edges. And sorry about the lighting. And there is one of the holding pins back here. So we do have to get this kind of from an angle. There's another one of those holding pins there. And that's it. Again, coming back to the front, we're going to remove the drain plugs here. Those ones have already been removed. There's two theories behind these hold downs. You can either remove them and tape them off and then reapply them after spraying, or we can go ahead and cover them up with some tape and spray around them. I'm probably going to go ahead and just remove them and tape them and spray all around. This part here, you're going to want to lift up. When you're spraying, you're going to want to move it side to side to get up and around it. There's another one of those little pins there. And when we came in here, we're going to go ahead and kind of tape some of this off and just try to get our best around it, since it is under the seat and not going to be seen as much. Alright, for these to pull out here, just like we showed on the JL video, they're going to go kind of away from the vehicle. You're not lifting up like you do on some of the cars. So make sure that you're pushing this away from the actual outside and kind of in towards the middle. And as you can see, it has separated there. And we're just going to slowly work the whole thing. When I get it off, I will show you the inside of it so you know where the points are from. And this one here kind of picks up. There are your 2 points. I think for the spraying, this rear one that comes up, I think we're going to leave that on. But down in here on the inside, you can see where that prong comes in. You have to push and pull out on this upper one to get the lower one out. So once you get those 2 parts out, we're going to be able to slide this forward and out. Alright, this is that middle panel that goes up the A-pillar, and I'm just kind of showing you where all the hold-in points are, so that way you know where you need to pull to get them to come apart. Now, I did not have to remove this whole entire upper piece, but I found when I did the JL, it was a little bit harder and kind of just easier to pull it the way it was. It came out a little easier. Let me set that down a little further. This is where your seatbelt normally comes through. So you got these 2 hold-in points here, and then these 2 are holding the other, that panel there, it holds that one on. And here are your lower pins. So the big problem that we had with the JL when first doing it is people were trying to pull up and they were actually breaking these little tabs. As you see, these tabs are facing the inwards of the Jeep. So if you don't pull it towards the middle of the Jeep, you are going to break those tabs. Be very careful with that. Alright, again, using that 10mm socket, it's got 1 bolt or nut down in there, and then the other one right there. I'm going to go ahead and remove this just so I can get up underneath it done. But I think I'm going to go ahead and scratch this down and go ahead and put some Raptor Liner on it also, just so it looks a little bit better. But I was kind of looking at it and it just looked out of place, and I didn't know how well it was going to hold, so I'd rather have that Raptor Liner up on the floor below it. And with that being said, the only way to actually get this out is to remove the seat. So I had kind of questioned whether to take the seat out or not. So I think I am going to go ahead and pull the rear seat to get that out, just to get a little bit more coverage on all this. Alright, after removing those lower bolts, the seats are held in, so you're going to have to actually use this part right here, lift it up so it unclips from it, and we're going to be able to move the seat kind of fully forward. This is the weird part, is because of the way that this rotates with both the bottom and the top coming up, you're going to have to use 2 people to kind of hold it, and as you can see, it's going to be able to move. So have that second person ready to help move it out. Alright, after pulling the seat out, these clips come out the same way as the front ones. They just pull straight out. Again, I'm trying to figure out what I can do with this, if we're going to pull it out all together, how needed it really is. I believe this is going to be a lot for movement of this not making vibration. But one cool thing I did find is Jeep actually integrated in a little tiny seatbelt clip back here to keep the seatbelt from flopping too much. I had never seen this and had never heard anything about it, and I had heard and kind of remember vaguely about the light back here. So this was kind of a cool added touch that some of you guys might not know about. So with this one here, we just pulled this out. It has just the little knob type connectors, and all it's doing is kind of making that look halfway decent. So what we're going to do is go ahead and remove these out and probably go and spray all of this, and I'll probably end up either painting that black or Raptor lining it, depending on how much extra I have, and see how we go from there. Alright, for this front compartment there is a small screw right here. It's a 10mm nut, and to get off your door there's just a little pull tab, and once you've pulled that, this here just kind of works its way out. And from the back we'll show you that. These little squares right here, on the inside are these little white bricks. Those are one of the things that are holding them on, so those are a little bit hard to get to. But just like the JL, they are in the same spots and they help clip it on. Again, these lower parts here are made to pull inwards towards the middle of the Jeep. And at that point there, we have it stripped down. Once you have the Jeep to this point, this is where you're going to start tying some of the wires up, using some of your blue painter's tape, and taping off stuff that you don't want covered, such as screw or bolt heads. I do got to take these off. This was that little bolt that I was telling you about. It's not, or sorry, the little nut that was up right here. I'm going to actually put it back, so we're not going to spray that high up. I'm probably just going to come in those lower levels. But this is really when you start doing your prep work. You got to do some sanding and that type of stuff. I am going to leave these rear ones in here. I'm not going to go that high. I am going back and forth whether I'm going to put that plastic piece in. So I'm going to go ahead and spray all this the way it sits. And I'll probably spray the white pieces also. And we'll go back and forth whether we actually put them in. Just kind of a quick overview of everything, just for anyone that needs to see what or where something is at. And I still have to remove the driver's seat. Alright, to remove these, it is a 16mm that fits right on, and we're just going to screw those all off now. Alright you guys, here is the next stage. As you can see, we have taped off all of the bolt heads, and we have put in earplugs in all of the bolt holes that need to be done. And that just protects those from going back in. From here we're going to go and sand it down with a very high grit, using some wet water to kind of just get it all scuffed up. We're going to let it dry out, and then we'll go to painting. At this point, I've sped the video up to be 4 times faster, just so you guys don't have to sit through and watch every little spray. But what I'm trying to do is just spray over every little spot that you can, making sure you get a clean, even coat over everything. I'm going to go back through this multiple times. I actually did edit this video quite a bit down. Did get a little bit of overspray that you can see, trying to clean as you go. But you just got to watch every little angle and just take your time looking at everything. The actual spraying of this took me about 30 minutes. This is reduced down into about a 3-minute section of showing this, just for those who do. The mask I've got on my face is just one I have from doing work with some drywall work and other stuff to keep all the stuff out. The last time I had a little bit of overspray, and I do got to go to work later today, so I just didn't want to have any of the black paint on my face for that reason. But as you can tell, we're just going to go over every little part. We're going to move some of these wires that are up in the front seat areas, just trying to spray up underneath them as much as possible. I did have them taped off the best I can, just so that I don't get any spray on them. But we do want to get just a little bit of coverage.
why you saw me off camera for a minute and some stuff changed is I had ran out of the first bottle after doing what you saw, and went ahead and switched up to the second bottle, mixed it up and got it ready. Now I'm back spraying the second part and just kind of fishing up that last little bit.
Alright, so as you saw, I did have a little bit of overspray, which was expected. On the last one I did hours worth of taping and covered it all up, and honestly, I found it was almost easier just to wipe it up afterwards if you got it right away with minimal overspray. So we'll take kind of a look at this real quick here as it's still drying. This is literally 40 minutes after the beginning of this video spraying, so it is still wet. But it is good coverage all the way throughout, and I think I picked this up for about $100. It's definitely going to be better than having carpet full of mold and other type of stuff for what we do. This here is from the passenger side, as you can see. I was actually surprised I was able to do this with 2 bottles. When I did my TJ, it took all 4 bottles to do it, and there was almost none left over. I did have a couple thicker sprays. I probably could come back in. Like I just noticed I missed that little spot right there. Where the seat mounts. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably just hit that with some black spray paint just to blend it in, because I feel pretty confident I got everything else, and I'm not going to mix a whole bottle just for that. I might even go try to take one of those bottles and just turn it upside down, knock it out on a paintbrush, and go in there and do it that way. But if not, I will cover that with a can of spray paint just to blend it in. But everything else is nice and thick. I was sure of that. I just did not see that one until just now. Alright, you guys, so luckily in the 2 bottles that I had, because I cut that early enough on, I do still have a little bit left over, so I'm just going to dump that out in a little box, use a throwaway paintbrush, and we're going to go and patch that up, because it's an area that you're not going to see because of where it's at, so I'm not worried about it not looking 100% matched in and spraying it out. Alright, you guys, the trick to this is once you've painted it on, like I have here, take the end of it and dab it on. When you're doing that, you're going to create that same texture. And now that piece there looks just like the rest. So this is a way to kind of catch any of your blemishes. If you do it right off the bat, we can kind of come back. This area here is not going to be seen when the pieces are on, but I'm just going to come down and kind of dabble through the rest of it and kind of catch up any of those spots. Alright, as you're finishing all that up, those inner sides, you can see that there now looks perfectly normal. That side looks normal. Everything is pretty much good to go. I'm going to give this about 30 minutes to sit and dry, and then I'm going to come back and start peeling this tape off, because I don't want the stuff to adhere too well to the tape and make it hard to get the tape off later. A lot of that consists of coming back and getting like these plugs. You can pull those out before they dry in there and get hard. If you ever see the Linex guys do it, they've got to pull it out somewhat quicker because it does dry pretty well. I'm not worried about the little bit like that's missed. I'm not going to touch that up because the simple fact is there's going to be a seat mounted over that part. So not a big part. Once I get this all finished up, I'll get some pictures and some video of it with all the stuff back in, and we'll get that going. But I can tell you on the reviews, we've done the Raptor and the Linex. I love the Linex. It's a great product. It's definitely a lot more stable than this over the long term of heavy wear and tear. But with that being said, it's going to be $1,200 to $1,300 to do the inside of a Jeep versus $100. For that aspect of putting into it, I just can't justify that much money to put into the Linex versus this when this is so much easier for what we do and it works well for us. If I was doing the truck bed, which this one already had the Linex from factory, I would 100% guarantee do a Linex. I would not do the Raptor Liner myself just because of the wear and tear of what we put in and out. But for the interior cabin where you're not moving a lot of stuff and scraping up a lot, you're pretty much just using a little bit of weight from the feet. I'll guarantee that this is the way I'm going to go every time for that price difference. And I didn't get this part on film, but as you can see, these are those 2 white pieces. I just sprayed right over them. I did leave that foam. It'll adjust a little bit, and if it's something that comes apart later, we'll just touch it up with some spray paint and just touch it up that way. But got it out here, pulled it outside, pulled all the blue tape and pieces out, and we're gonna let it dry in the sun for probably the rest of the day, stick it back in the garage, and probably wait till tomorrow to actually put it back together. What I did to pull it out, and I'm lucky enough, we built these side steps, but I basically kind of got my weight in it and held myself up with my foot on the brake and was able to pull it out without the seat in it, obviously. So just be careful and pre-think how you want to get yours out of your garage. Let it sit in the sun if that's what you want to do.